we've really tried to build relationships. City council, this was the first time in, I want to say 20, 25 years, that the Police Association and the Fire Association endorsed the same candidates for city council.
On the last episode of part 1 of the Blue Grit podcast.
When I first, and we'll get on this eventually, but I guess, when I first took over, one of the bigger things that I really wanted to do was enhance the social media. Just the social media presence, right? And then start using social media in our favor. Because it's a powerful tool. I mean, you know as well as anybody. It's a very powerful tool. But we got that going, and I don't think you build that army quick. It's not easy to build that army. You have to build some trust. People have to know that you're going to fight for them, and they slowly get on board. So, but that was pure luck and good old-fashioned police work. And there was no flock cameras. There was no help. There was no assistance given from technology. And the fact that we're still having to fight to have the assistance of technology in a situation like that is just, it's crazy. We met a big drug bust. Guy lived actually about 200 feet from a school. And our guys did a ton of work, made a huge drug bust on a guy that's a multiple time offender. It's known for selling dope. And I don't remember the exact numbers now. I think the bond was like $250,000 that the DA set, or recommended, if you will. Right. And guy got to the magistrate court and his bond got reduced to like $75,000. So our guys were pissed because they put a lot of work into this. They put a lot of work into getting this dude off the streets, and they truly felt, and they were right, that this is a multiple time offender. He's got multiple convictions.
Weapons.
Yeah.
Those
I mean, his bond should be high enough that we can keep him locked up for a while. And to see him get out 24 hours later was kind of a slap in the face.
And I think it was $25,000, if I'm not mistaken. I think it went from $250,000 to $25,000.
It may have. It got reduced drastically.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey man, what's going on with this?" I'm like, "Hell, I don't know." And I think I reached out to you, and you sent me the website, and we started digging, and I was like, "Whoa, hold on." So I reached out to. Started reaching out to people, got in touch with the county judge's minion, if you will, who I don't even know what his title is, but spoke to him a couple times. He tried to set up a meeting, but it wasn't with anybody that could make any change. So we went on the defensive. We started putting stuff out, and the magistrate actually reached out to me after we started putting stuff out, and he was like, "Hey man, can we sit down and have a meeting?" I'm like, "Absolutely, we can." So I went and met with him. Super nice guy. Went and met with him. He kind of, in his defense, he was like, "Hey, I've went back and I've looked at a lot of stuff and I've messed some stuff up."
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and he was like, I do think you're looking at this the wrong way, and you don't understand this part of it." He said, "But I have messed this part, this and this up, and I intend to fix it." So I think when we originally started this, the numbers were like 39% PR bonds, and it's down to about 33, 34. So
to give people a perspective, Austin, PR capital of the world, with Jose Garza down here, Austin set at 42%.
Yeah.
At one time, Galveston County, which if you look at it from the political aspect of things, and I don't mean to be diving off into Republican versus Democrat, but when you look at that aspect of it, Galveston's a pretty heavy Republican area.
100%.
Which,
Republican.
if you look at the aspect that he was appointed by the county judge, who is a Republican, it was 46%. Travis County was 42. Galveston County was 46% at this point in time. So we were like, "Holy crap, this has to change, right?" And so now, because you voiced your opinion, and because you fired that warning shot, trying to get your community safer, it's been lowered back to a reasonable percentage, which is a very common occurrence with the population of what Galveston is.
And a lot of that goes back to the power of social media. You put it out, you build your army, as you said earlier. You build your army, and the power of social media kind of it wakes people up a little bit.
But to the point on that, if I'm not wrong, and please say if I am, y'all attempted to communicate prior, and there was no communication, and so y'all were forced to fire a shot, so to speak, because nobody wanted to communicate, and because y'all wielded influence and fired that shot, then they decided to communicate.
Correct. Yeah.
So it wasn't like y'all blindly, recklessly were firing shots in the dark. Y'all wanted to try and figure out a way work through this, communicate first. That didn't happen. So a shot was fired across the bow on social media, and then it was like, oh, can we meet? And we would like to visit with you.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that he fell on the sword, so to speak, partially. I respect that. But he could have talked to y'all the first time. You'd never had to fire a shot.
Yeah, yeah. And it's we were trying to get a meeting with the county judge, and I still hadn't talked to that dude. He's a clown, but a lot of the stuff, the flock stuff is the same thing. And I try not to just fire off just because. There's something that causes it. I sent a few emails last week to the city attorney, and he acted like, who are you? You. Okay, cool. And then, cool, no problem.
Yeah, we're going to see.
We'll do this differently. And I've gotten with you on a lot of things, and you've said, well, try this and this first, so at least you can say you did, even though 50% of the time you know the outcome,
right?
But it's hey, we tried to do this the right way.
Yep.
And y'all want to play hardball, so we'll play hardball.
Yeah. If you want to dance, we can dance.
Yeah.
Just let me know the band.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's great, and we've been able to get a lot of stuff done that way.
Yeah. I agree.
Because of the influence that you guys carry, the engagement with all your members, talk about how that helps also having a relationship with administration.
And it's not just administration. We've really, really tried to build relationships. City council, this was the first time in, I want to say 20, 25 years that the police association and the fire association endorsed the same candidates for city council. That's strong because we've always been, kind of separate. There hadn't always been a whole lot of unity there, and we've built some relationships there that have fixed that, and we still got a ways to go, but we've built a lot of relationships that have fixed that. Relationships we built with the city manager, with city management has helped, minus the city attorney, and the relationship with the administration's helped. We don't always see eye to eye on everything, but the administration, especially around the PD, they respect our outlook and we respect theirs. And the only thing I ask that we ask as a board is from the chief is just be fair. Just be fair. I used this analogy the other day on something, and if I get into my first fleet that I've ever been in and I cause $1,000 worth of damage and I'm at fault and Clint does the same thing a week later, don't give me 1 day off and then turn around and give him 3 days off. Just be fair across the board, man. And that shouldn't be a lot to ask. And it hasn't been. It hasn't been. Chiefs pretty much got an open door for us to work with them, and that makes things a lot easier.
And I think it's y'all's, not powers, not the right word, just influence. I think y'all's influence and how you handle your business helps administration to see that let's work. It's better to work with these guys than fight.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they don't have the ultimate say, but when you have a mutual relationship of respect and you respect each other's power or potential for power, I think that's a symbiotic relationship that's good. It's always a red flag when somebody gets a new chief and they're like, they don't want us having an association. They don't want us this, or like, well, you better be very concerned if he's afraid of an association because there's bad things to come.
Yeah.
And y'all's chief is always, even your last chief, it was never association doesn't need to exist or y'all need to go away. It was, y'all have always seemed to find a way to communicate. But I think it's from a position of influence. They understand y'all have it as well, and it's better for me to work with them than bow up and fight every day.
Yeah, and that's you're 100% right. I mean, we had Chief Hill. He came from Dallas. He was amazing in the same way. I mean, he was huge in starting to build that relationship. And then, you know, Chief Bally, who we have now, was the assistant chief at the time, and
also a former GMPA assistant vice president.
I think he was a vice president.
Vice president.
So he understands the union side of things as well.
Yeah, and respects it.
Yeah, and you know, and I think the biggest thing that you have to realize is, and that he realizes and that I realize, is we're not going to look at things through the same lens. Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't make his outlook wrong. Doesn't make my outlook wrong. We're not going to look at things from the same lens. It's just not how that works. But I can understand and respect his outlook on it sometimes, and he can understand and respect my outlook on it. And that's what matters. That's why things work.
In a time when law enforcement leadership, strong, good leadership is rare, y'all been pretty fortunate, because like even when Chief Hell was here, first of all, say there's no perfect chief. There is no perfect chief anywhere. There's always going to be things that they're good at or the troops don't like. But y'all have had several good chiefs that are kind of cops. And even the high-profile incident y'all had under Hale, it's easy for a chief to just go lay down and be a political pawn and, you know, just start reprimanding or firing a bunch of people to save his own neck. And y'all been fortunate.
Yeah. You know, when Hale got there, man, everybody was like, oh, he's going to try to make this place Dallas. He's going to try to – he didn't at all. He bought a beach house out west, and, I mean, he made himself Galveston. I'm confident to say that he'd still be there today if it wasn't for a little bit of city management that wasn't exactly supportive of a lot of things. But I mean, that incident, that's a prime example. That man went up in front of the community and just took blow after blow after blow, and just had a community meeting and let everybody come out and just pretty much bashed GPD for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and he just took it.
And then still pretty much stood his ground.
Pretty much stood his ground, but he let everybody have their voice, and he let everybody have their voice to his face, and that was when he first said he was going to do it. You know, I was like, man, it's not supporting your troops, you know, but it hushed the crowd a little bit. It really quieted the noise, and it was a smart play by him.
Yeah, it was, and I got to have an offline conversation with him one time about it, and there was never any other choice in his mind. There's a lot of chiefs that are just, well, I'll go fire a couple of these officers, or I'll give a couple of them 30 days off, and then that'll make everybody happy, and then I look good and I get to keep my job.
Yeah.
And that never throwing some bodies under the bus to benefit him was never considered.
No, not at all. And I heard, I don't know how true it is, that, you know, city management wanted him to do that, and he was like, absolutely not.
And just so we're clear, we're talking about the horse incident?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, several years ago, there was a horse incident that Galveston PD came under extreme scrutiny for, where they made an arrest and then essentially had the person tied up to a horse, walking him to the jail because of the, I guess, the geographic location, and there were certain other aspects of it. But the photograph,
a tether to his handcuffs. He was handcuffed walking.
Yeah, the perception to the court of public opinion, it sparked some outrage and got some very, very, very much national attention.
Which is funny, because if you really think about it, it kind of reminds me of the Border Patrol horse incident.
I was supposed to reference that.
They see a large animal, and social media makes a lot of very ignorant ass assumptions. The Border Patrol incident, you have long reins on these horses, and they use those reins to navigate the horse at times, or speed them up, or to sidestep them. There's a lot of but because of the long reins, they must have been whipping those people with it. And in y'all's incident, the guy's handcuffed, he's on the ground, you're on a horse, you're escorting him, you don't want him to run off, you can't like, hey, well, jump on behind me and put your arms around my waist and I'll ride you to jail.
Yeah.
They're not harming the guy. And it's a trained tactic.
Yeah.
Whatever the appearance that you dream up in your head, the guy's walking on his own power, handcuffed. All you have is some sort of lead so that he can't run away from you. What other option do you want? Shoot him and drape him like the Old West over your saddle horn and ride him into the town marshal?
What was the city's recommendation? I'm sure they did not give any.
I don't know for sure. I wasn't on the board then, but I heard they wanted to get rid of both of the officers.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
For a trained technique, that completely didn't harm.
Correct. If that's the middle of Mardi Gras and there's thousands and thousands of people in the middle of the street, how else would you do it?
Yeah.
You can't get a car down there. You can't get a car down the street. I mean, y'all been there.
Yeah.
You can't get a car down the street to go.
Is that the second largest Mardi Gras besides New Orleans?
I believe so.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Galveston's got a massive, great time. The officers have y'all have a good time working it. I mean, I was here to witness it, and there's a lot of history there. But yeah, there's a massive Mardi Gras going on. Thousands of people flock down to this island, and there's just no way for y'all to manipulate getting down there. No. So horseback, really is one of the most common traits for you guys to get around. Those are side by sides.
Yeah,
is how I saw it.
One thing, we've supported it 3 years.
I know 2. I don't know.
I know 2 for sure.
2?
I don't know if it's 3.
So next year will be the 3rd. I like going because I like seeing old school, respected cops. And by that I mean, how many will people be down there on Friday or Saturday night? 50 or 60,000, 70,000 people? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, at least.
70,000 people schnockered out of their mind. And comparatively speaking, y'all don't have riots. You don't have, I mean, there's some drunk fights, but for 70,000 drunk people, it's a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a controlled good time. And I'm just speaking Clint's opinion here. I think people respect the police in Galveston, and they know that if you act wrong, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And you may not like it. And because anywhere else in our Texas, especially Austin, Dallas, every night on 6th Street is a freaking train wreck. I think 70,000 drunks in Galveston generally get along, with a few exceptions, because they respect Galveston will put your butt in jail. And we're not going to apologize for it. That's just what I observed.
And it's 70, 80,000 drunks in a 6 or 7 block radius.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not
Packed
like spread
in like
out throughout
sardines.
the whole island. And don't get me wrong, we have plenty of issues. And we've had some large scale fights and stuff like that, but they get dealt with pretty quick. We had a biker rally is another one.
Yeah.
There's
shooting
thousands and thousands of people. There's a shooting there last year during biker rally, which was not related to the rally. It was some of our local gangbanging thugs. And I think that guy was in handcuffs within about 10 seconds, which is pretty damn good police work.
Yeah.
Considering there's 70,000 people, 80,000, 100,000 people down there, and they got this guy in handcuffs in about 10 seconds. That's pretty freaking impressive.
Same with the Jeep rally. That whatever. What do you call the Jeep rally?
That's over at the.
That's over at the. Yeah, but y'all send people to help out and assist.
No, the county works all
county.
Now on our side, I mean, and I'd be remiss if I didn't. I mean, it's not just Galveston down there working Mardi Gras. It's the county.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. HPD.
There's probably 30 agencies that come in and help out, and it's almost like what we witnessed was almost like a huge family reunion.
Yeah, a lot of those guys a lot of our guys that went to work other places enjoy coming back. It's almost like a reunion. They come back, they make some money, they get to go. They get to go fool around with some people they used to work with and see again, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, what we enjoyed about it is where we cook at. It's a big parking garage, but it's right next to the pits, and so the drunks will come in after being arrested, and they're feisty for the most part. But at the end of the night, what I loved about it is there's this guy, and he is cussing everybody there. And he's just going off. About 2 hours later, he quiets down, and one of the Galveston officers walks over, makes a plate. And I said, "You hungry?" He said, "No, I'm not." That's all he said. He walked back over there, cracked the door open, and said, "Here. You want something to eat?" And that guy's face was just, dropped down. So, I mean, they care, right?
Yeah.
But it was pretty neat witnessing the control that you guys had for that large of a crowd.
Yeah, it's a good event. It's ran well. The city does a good job of running.
Yeah, they do.
And our administration does a pretty good job of running it as well. And like I said, the help from outside agencies is second to none. I mean, it's amazing how many people will come down and help out with that. So,
well, we've talked about some different aspects and different challenges you've had since being the president. But here recently, within the last 6 months, you guys haven't changed, but you guys are going somewhat of a different route by including yourselves under the Texas FOP umbrella. Let's talk about the benefits of that and what sparked your interest to do that, and why you feel it's important for Galveston to stay within Texas FOP.
So Jordan Reyes, who's our secretary right now on the association, he's kind of the one that brought it up, and he's kind of heading it up. I mean, he's like I said, we got a good team.
Also, a motor
nice
officer throwing it out there too.
Yeah, it's nice to have a great team because Jordan knows, like, hey man, go do what you do. Like, you don't have to call me and ask me anything. Go take care of whatever you're gonna take care of. He actually went out for the OIS last night, and I hadn't talked to him today. I have no doubt that it's handled right, but he brought it up, and it's a force multiplier. You know, we talk about the horse incident, something like that. It's good to have. It's good to have a guy like Joe Gamaldi on your side who will get on, Fox News and scream real loud and be passionate and, and get your voice out there as well. Get your story out there as well. It's a force multiplier, and it's another piece of protection for these officers, and it's another avenue for them to go through.
Yeah, and I think that's it's important to see. I like seeing the unity come together. There's 377,000 people in FOP. That's a crazy number to wrap your mind around. Mm-hmm. 377,000 American cops in it, and we're on the way to 400,000. We've got some more locals in Texas that are starting up right now. And there's no other voice that's walking the halls in the Capitol, in the U.S. Capitol,
that carries the clout they do.
Yeah, that carries the clout. When you're speaking for coming up to 400,000 people, you've got a voice. And a perfect example of that, the National FOP Board meeting was last week in Charlotte. We did the nomination process for the endorsement process for national presidential candidates. When National FOP contacted Trump's campaign to tell him that he was going to have the endorsement of National FOP, they called and said, hey, we're going to have our national board meeting is in a couple of days in Charlotte. We're going to give our endorsement. The Trump campaign called back and said, well, when we told him, he said, clear my calendar because I'm going to be there. So it was his personal point that those people had to wipe his calendar, change his calendar so that he could go walk in. And he came in, talked for probably an hour and 15 minutes, most of it off the cuff, talking about he's going to protect cops. He's going to protect Texas cops stuck working the border. You name any other national organization that Trump will veer off course to come speak and hang out. And I know when Trump was in last time, Fred Frazier, our legislative director, there were several people that would literally, I would get a photo of them sitting in the conference table with Trump because he wanted to hear from a cop's mouth what cops are facing. Yeah. And I think it's important that we have those relationships.
How difficult was it for you guys to not transition but to get that lodge started? How is it going thus far? And what benefits? Obviously, we just talked about the force multiplier, but what benefits have you seen just already?
It wasn't hard at all to get started. We kind of got the process going, got on a Zoom call with Joe and a couple other people, and they came down, gave us a presentation. And I want to say the most difficult part of it was on our side, getting all the paperwork filled out by our guys, getting cops to do paperwork is not always easy, even if it's just, hey, put your name and date of birth right here and email it back. But that was probably the most difficult part. Once we had it filled out, we sent it in, we paid for everything, and this guy came and swore us in probably about a month later.
And you guys aren't getting legal from National FOP. You're getting legal from Tmpa, but you're just a Texas lodge.
Correct.
Explain that process, because some people get that twisted, and some people are like, well, I don't want to give up Tmpa's legal because I want to be a Texas FOP. So explain how that process works.
So that process was it's pretty easy for us. It just gives us a little bit more strength. It gives us a little bit more, like I said, a force multiplier.
Yeah.
we can still go through the FOP legal if we need to, right? And
If you chose to get the plan,
if we chose to get the plan, but man, what we paid is so minimal every month. Just to have that extra endorsement, just to have that extra clout, if you will, to have that extra strength next to you. It's so minimal.
I will say Kevin Lawrence continues to say this multiple times through different podcasts, and every time he speaks to somebody about FOP, if you stop and look and at TV shows that are played on mainstream TV media, when they speak of FOP, that's the common person they talk about when they Chicago PD. Let me get my FOP rep.
Yeah.
It's a common. It's a household name. I don't mean to sound like a teleprompter, but that's
it's true.
It's 100% true. And so to have that iconic FOP emblem next to yours and to know that it's affiliated, that alone, in my opinion, brings a lot of clout. Not saying I love TMPA. I've got a passion for TMPA, but I'll give a great example. Mitch Landry himself said he went to D.C., and this was right after he became, I believe, the deputy executive director, being used to walking into state Texas legislator's office and say, hey, I'm with TMPA, and then, oh, okay, like it's instant recognition. He thought the same thing would happen in D.C. So when he walked into one of these offices, he was like, hey, I'm Mitch Landry from TMPA. And they were like, who is that? On ones that weren't from Texas.
Yeah.
They didn't know who the hell TMPA was. If you're a U.S. congresswoman or congressman from Virginia, you walk in and say, hey, we're with FOP. It's instant recognizable, right? So that aspect is what I've seen from my perspective of hearing Kevin talk and you talk about different aspects. So,
well, the relationship aspect of it's crazy. I was at a event Saturday night. There was a bunch of retired NYPD there, and they're like, hey, man, when you go to New York, call me so I can call the FOP Lodge up there.
They said it that clear?
That wasn't that clear.
No,
I had to get a translator.
Yeah.
But they're like, we'll put you up. We'll get you on a boat, NYPD boat. We'll get you in a helicopter. We'll do whatever we got to do. And there's story after story after story of, so-and-so broke down in Vermont, called the FOP Lodge. Vermont FOP sent a wrecker, put them up in a hotel, took care of them. That's huge, man. That's how it should be. That's not how it is everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's how it should be.
And I heard a story from Skinny was telling me a story about something like that where guy's dad died of cancer. Like it happened quick, and he had to fly to, I don't remember where it was, Pennsylvania or something like that. And 2 or 3 phone calls, and it's like, hey, we'll put you up here. Like we pay for everything. We'll take care of you. It's like taking a small family with TMPA and just quadrupling it.
Yeah.
It just explodes, and it gives you so much more outreach.
Well, you go from 33,000 to 400,000.
Yeah.
Overnight. Over just a fee that's associated with the cost of running that large of an organization. It's worth it.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. Understanding the delineation, FOP to be a part of FOP is minimal. I mean, it's like a couple of bucks a month, I think, if that. While maintaining your TMPA legal, there's our legal plan. Everybody in the country tries to figure out how to model it, and it's imitated, never duplicated. You just can't beat our model the way it's set. And so I never recommend to anybody of joining one and dropping the other. It's just not in their personal best interest. But I think when you combine those two, force multiplier, I think is perfect. Yeah, perfect analogy.
Well, so what's next for Galveston? How long do you think you're going to be the president? How long do you plan on being on the board? I guess as long as they probably let you. But where do you envision Galveston being in the next 10 years?
Man, we're really trying to just grow things and do the things we do. We're trying to do them bigger and better, and we're trying to come up with new ideas. We just recently came up with we have 2 sergeants that recently had cancer, and we just came up with an idea and man, it happened so fast. It was amazing. I'll get back to that, but we had an idea to come up with a separate account, like an officer medical emergency account, outside of our normal funds. And our idea was to run some type of yearly benefit to raise money for that fund. So if an officer has some type of medical emergency, they can, we can cut them a $5,000 check. We can help them out with some type of medical deductible or something. Kind of get them rolling through the first part of that. And we did, and we had a benefit for those two sergeants that had cancer. And
looked like a good time. I saw it on social media and looked like a good time.
Man, our goal was 10 grand, and we raised about 35 grand.
Wow.
And it's just the strength and the unity of Galveston when they need to come together.
Yeah.
It's freaking amazing, man. You know, we had a hurricane. You look at the hurricane that we had versus the hurricane that New Orleans had. And New Orleans, it's a bigger scale, right? But Galveston came back so quick. They came back so quick, and we had everybody from the mayor, the city manager, pretty much every council person in Galveston donating money to that fund for those two guys, and we had a huge benefit.
Did the attorney just throw it out there?
No, we had a huge benefit. Had a huge benefit and fundraisers and silent auctions and stuff, and we actually had 2 box seats for the Astros games that went for about, I think it was about $800 during the silent auction.
Nice.
And we had somebody else say, hey, who donated those tickets? And we told them. And they're like, hey, tell her if she'll donate 2 more, I'll give another $800.
Wow.
And she was like, done.
Yeah.
Just tell me which game they want to go to. Done. And he wrote an $800 check. So it's, man, Galveston is so tight-knit. It really is. The people who are, my mom's in her 60s. She's lived off of the island for a year now. It took that long for her to get off the island, man. And to get her to leave, to get her to go over that causeway was a battle. But, man, Galveston's tight-knit. It really, really, really is. Like, the community they come together very, very well.
Yeah.
It's amazing, amazing to see.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, man, I don't have anything else. You have anything else?
Yeah. What's been your best day at GPD and your worst day?
As far as the union president, or
Just
Anything.
what's Anthony's best day at GPD and Anthony's worst day?
man, I think my best day at GPD was the day I finally got sworn in. And I say that I feel like that's the simple answer, right?
Well, you had a lot of life. I mean, there were a lot of family that
I did.
had came through here.
But I got sworn in, and my uncle who retired from GPD pinned my badge on me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I wanted my grandpa to be there, but he was in a home at the time. He wasn't doing well at all. But him, once I got sworn in, I went and saw him, and I was still wearing my uniform, and he had a traumatic brain injury, so he wasn't really talking or anything like that, and just to see his face, that's probably my best day. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool, because he didn't really understand what was going on, but when he saw that uniform that he wore for 25 years, and then my uncle wore, you could just see him light up, and that was my best day. I feel like that's the simple answer.
No, it's cool.
But it's bigger
cool.
than just getting sworn in. Man, my worst day I think it's fairly easy to say. It's probably the day Chris Sanderson died. Chris Sanderson was one of our officers. His brother is still a sergeant at GPD, and I've known Chris. So my grandpa and Chris's grandpa worked together. So me and Chris used to get on the bus. Me, Chris, and Bobby used to get on the bus and go to the ball highway football games. And my grandpa was a motor officer, so he'd escort the bus. And we'd sit on the bus with Chris and Bobby's grandpa, Oscar Eklund, and we go stand on the sidelines and watch the football game. So I've known Chris my entire life. So the day Chris died, that was rough, and we knew it was coming. We knew that he had he had cancer, and he was a fighting mofo, man. Like that dude go do chemo all day and come to work all night.
Wow.
Golly.
It was fucking amazing to see. And his badge number is 435. That's why we really, really wanted our lodge number to be 435. And you'll see 435 quite a few places down in Galveston, man, at GPD. So that was probably the worst day, just because it was the worst day because it was almost the worst day because I wasn't off.
Yeah.
Like he passed away and I had to go to work that night, and it was tough, man. It was tough. Trying to trying to. I think people don't realize. I mean, you know, if you work in an office and you lose somebody and you got to go to work, it's like, all right, I got to go sit here and type on this computer. You lose somebody or something like that happens and you got to go work as a cop. You still got to make sure your life's not gonna. You know, you're not gonna lose your life. You're not gonna do something that's gonna cost you your life or cost somebody else their own life. You know, it's business still has to go on and you still got to have your head on a swivel. And that's hard on a night like that. But that was probably my worst day. I will say I'd never in a million years thought I'd be as passionate about the association, the union stuff, as I am. And I'm extremely, extremely happy that I got into it. And
it's an honor, really, to represent.
It is, man. It's a full-time job on top of having a full-time job that you don't get paid extra for. But if you have a passion, it's money. I don't care about the money because I have such a passion for it. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping guys.
Well, I hope you studied for your rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite line from a cop movie or your favorite cop movie? What's your favorite drink of choice? I'm sorry, what's your favorite cop car and then your favorite drink of choice? So what's your favorite line from cop movie or cop movie? Your favorite cop car or your favorite drink of choice?
My favorite cop car is a Crown Vic. And I think anybody who comes in here and says anything different is either 21 years old or just absolutely ignorant. I don't know how you have a favorite cop car that's not a Crown Vic. Do you have a favorite cop car that's not a Crown Vic?
I do.
What is that?
It is before your time.
Okay.
It's the Caprice from 1995.
Okay.
With a Corvette engine in it.
That's cool. I was 11. I don't really remember that one.
That's why I said, because you're not old enough to know.
So I guess I'll give you the benefit of that. I'll never do it.
Forgiven on that one. What's your favorite line from a cop movie or cop movie?
Man, I don't know my favorite cop movie is End of Watch.
Yes.
Heck yes.
I don't know a specific line from
That's
it.
fine. This the movie.
Training Day is another one. I like Training Day. Training Day is another one.
It's something you want to be, but glad you're not. You know?
Yeah. Training Day is another one. End of Watch is. There's not a cop movie that's realistic, right? But it's pretty up there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good movie. Training Day is another favorite of mine, and I don't know a line, man. I don't have a set line on any of them.
Both my boys don't have an interest in law enforcement. They're interested in it, but don't have an interest in being in it, which I'm cool with. But a year ago, I'm like, I want y'all to see what being a cop actually is like, in the humor, in the family, in the dark humor. And so we sat down and watched Training Day, and both of them were like, man, it's kind of like that. And like the banter in the squad car and the banter in lineup and the dark humor you kind of, and then to your second one, probably 2 months ago, we got on a kick. We were like, Google a actor and let's watch a movie. So we got on a Denzel kick. We were trying to watch every Denzel movie that existed. So I introduced my senior in high school to Training Day. He's like, dude, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Training Day is a good
badass.
movie.
What's your favorite drink of choice?
When
you're relaxing.
Man, when I'm relaxing, I just have a beer. If I'm out with Curtis, it seems to turn into tequila.
I don't recommend drinking with Curtis.
I don't either. It's a long night. It's a long night and a very early morning sometimes too. But no, man, I just drink some Miller Lite, and that's kind of my drink of choice. I don't, unless I'm with Curtis.
Not too busy.
Turning into tequila.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Well, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I cannot thank you enough for. I appreciate our number one, our friendship. I enjoy every time we get to team up and work with each other. It truly is an honor on my part. So, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. And you guys are amazing.
And it's members and leaders, local leaders like you, that make Tmpa and FOP successful. Field reps and staff at Tmpa can only do so much, but having leaders, local leaders that are passionate, handle their business, never satisfied with status quo, always looking to be better. Dude, that's what makes this whole big thing successful, honestly.
I agree.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, this about wraps it up. You guys reach out to us. We want to hear your feedback at bluegrid@tmpa.org. And that's about it for this episode.
That's it. Holler if we can ever help. Please stay safe out there. It's budget season. I know everybody's trying to figure out what that's going to look like for them. If there's something we can do to help, please reach out. Take care of each other.
Yeah, speaking of budgets, right now is the time. If you guys want a management survey, be thinking about kind of what that looks like. It's towards the end of the year, and so we want to start collecting that data to push it out to start kind of doing those things. Salary survey. Sorry, it's not going to be overnight, but we can start that process and get that information to you. So the next year we can have some of that data. So if you want to participate in it, please. Like your salary schedules, send them to us. We would love to have them. That way we can collect that data across the state. So
I do have one last thing. Reach out to your local legislator, your local U.S. legislator, and ask them to sign the Social Security Fairness Act. Cops don't get Social Security by and large, and there's legislation that's on the floor that has a lot of authors that has never passed, but it looks like it's heading towards possibly being successful. So please reach out to your local U.S. congressman, congresswoman, senator, and ask them to please consider passing
be good
Social Security fairness for cops.
You guys take care, stay safe, and as always, may God bless Texas. We're out.